Important topic of today. I feel like everyone under the sun needs to talk about boundaries. We like to believe that we have boundaries with people, but we really don't. So how do we have boundaries with people? What are the steps to doing so practically? This is more for people in our life. There needs to be a separate video done for jobs because that's something different. Yeah, some of y'all don't even know that you need to have boundaries with people in your job or your workplace. So let's get started. So first things first, you got to make a list for you. A list writing down reasons why you think that you might want to have boundaries with this person. The reason why a list is necessary is for you to kind of visually see and process your relationship with this person, because 9 times out of 10, well, I don't want to say 9 times out of 10, but a lot of times it could be that it goes deeper than forming a boundary with this person. Maybe you need to move on from this friendship. Maybe you're just upset about something that happened a couple months or years ago and it's coming off passive aggressively, and there needs to be a conversation had. But in our mind, it's like, oh, we gotta have a boundary. We need to cut this person. And what people don't understand is when you form a boundary, when you place a boundary between you and another person, it doesn't mean that you're cutting the person off. It means that you're making the relationship better. So I think that's a misconception that we need to break, and that's something that comes with making a list. You're making a list in order for you to better understand why is it that you feel the need to make a boundary with this person. It'll help you to get clarity also as to how that conversation needs to go. Second step is to get a second opinion. Now, this doesn't mean that you go on your phone, go on the group chat, and start just airing out the conversation that you want to have, because that's just gossiping and that's wrong, and that's not what it means to get a second opinion. What I mean by this is go to someone that you trust, a mentor, maybe your parent. I don't know. Everyone has that one person that is mature, is going to give them the wisdom and give them actual good advice, and not just be like, okay, yeah, let you rant and gossip about the person. The purpose behind getting a second opinion is because a lot of times, again, similar to the first one, we don't really understand why we feel the need to have a boundary with this person, because it could really mean that we need to have another kind of conversation with them, and we won't know until we kind of verbally process it with somebody else. I know I'm a verbal processor, which is why I'm making a video now. But moral of the story is, when you are wanting to figure out if you want to have a boundary with someone, it's always good to kind of let someone know and kind of practice that conversation with someone, because especially when we're sitting in with our emotions, we can process things in a very negative way or just overly dramatic way. And it's good to kind of talk to somebody else about it first before going directly to the person that we want to speak to. It'll save us a lot of heartache and a lot of drama. So the third thing that you need to do is set a time and a place. This is not a conversation you want to have over text message. And if you can, avoid doing it over the phone, where sometimes that's just not possible. But I rather it be done over the phone than over text, because obviously it can be misinterpreted. And this is also not something that you should text your friend or whoever you're trying to have the conversation with. Oh, can we speak tomorrow? Like, don't do that, because you're gonna give the person anxiety. They're gonna overthink. It's just not a good way to start that. So set a time. Maybe you guys hang out. Maybe it's a time where it's already planned, but just the two of you. You do not want to involve other people in that time and place, especially if you know that that's not. If it only involves you, just have it just you two. You don't want to make the other person feel like you're ganging up on them. It's common sense, truly. Next thing is you need to start the conversation in love. Setting a boundary is something that is very personal and very delicate, and you don't want to start off the conversation bringing up incidents from the past. That's just being petty and amping yourself up for drama and argument. That conversation should not come on argument form. You should talk about how much you love and value the person, because again, the reason why we're setting a boundary is not to cut the friendship off. That's not setting a boundary, that's cutting the friendship off. The reason why you're setting a boundary is because you want to better that friendship in a respectful way. So you want to start it off in a tone that's in a loving manner. Also, that's going to help the person receive what you have to say much better. Towards the end of the conversation, something that you should do, which is the next step, is ask them if they have a boundary that they want to set with you. This is a step that I think is really important because it kind of levels the playing field. You don't want to finish off the conversation where you feel that you're leaving in a place of high authority. You don't want to make the person feel like you're kind of above them in a way for starting that conversation. But also, maybe that person also needs to set a boundary with you and never had the place to kind of say those things. And this is the perfect time. You set the boundaries you want to set. Now allow the other person to do the same. It's only fair. And again, 9 times out of 10, it'll allow the person to come out of it feeling much better about the conversation, because this is not something that's normalized. People don't have healthy conversations, especially surrounding setting a boundary. So that's a good way of allowing them to say their piece too. So next step is the aftermath after the conversation has been done. The thing that you do not want to do, very repetitive, but I'm all about this because people do all the time, is don't talk to somebody about the conversation that is gossiping. If you need to update your mentor who gave you advice, very briefly, the conversation went well, or the conversation, didn't go that well, but this is how I wish I could do it better. You had the conversation, you did what you had to do. Don't talk about it, don't dwell on it. It'll make you more angry in the long run, and it's just not fruitful. It's not beneficial, especially when the conversation is surrounding putting that person down. Just don't do it. And last step is be realistic. This is something that I always talk about, but we cannot control how people are going to receive the conversations that we have with them, especially something as important as boundaries. So go into it with very low expectation. This may sound depressing to some, but it's just fair. Don't expect the person to be like, okay, cool, I respect that, and walk away. Come at it with a place of, the goal of it is to say your piece in a loving, respectful manner. Anything else beyond that, give it up to God. So in my book, that's what being realistic is. Not having high expectations, trying your best to start the conversation and deliver the message in the most authentic and loving way. Anything beyond that is out of your control, and that's okay. That's just life. That's being realistic. Just worry about the things that you can control, and the only thing you can control is how you deliver that message. And that's just what it is. We need to normalize setting boundaries with people in a healthy, respectful manner. Not only people that we want to continue our friendship with, but also our work. And that's going to be my next video, because a lot of us are really delulu and live love 24/7 for work. And that's what's burning you out, and that's what's making you gain the 50 pounds. But anyways, boundaries. Let's set them with people this upcoming year, and not gossip in the middle of it. I'm very, very anti-gossip because it's very toxic and it sounds hypocritical. How can you want to set a boundary with someone when you're talking about them? You got to set that boundary with yourself, within yourself. But anyway, let's set boundaries. Let's do them appropriately, and let's elevate our friendships this upcoming year.